there, and welcome to We Talks, a series of conversations brought to you about how energy impacts our world, brought to you by the World Energy Council. I'm Ethel Trainer, your host for this session. Now, my aim is to present to you a series of rich and very diverse conversations where we will explore what's really happening in the energy transition. As well as talking to producers and consumers, we'll be taking an in-depth look at what this means for societies, for communities, for individuals. And we'll be bringing you a lot of different voices, new, fresh ideas, and many, many new perspectives. So we're absolutely delighted that you've joined us. And I'm even more delighted to welcome to this episode of We Talks the Senior Vice President for Latin America for BP Group. She is also the President and the country head for Mexico. She is also the Chair of the World Energy Council in Mexico. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Angélica Ruiz. Hola, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Edna. It is a pleasure to be here and to be part of the World Energy Council and to be the chair in Mexico. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Indeed, great. So we get a lot of value out of you in this. I'm absolutely happy. I'm really thrilled that you are here. And of course, you've been in this position recently. Congratulations on getting this role, really looking after Latin America for BP. A huge continent, a very diverse continent. Talk to me and talk to our viewers about what's been happening, what's been the fallout with COVID-19 on this very, massive continent, really.
Well, definitely, I think, it's been the worst economic crisis we've ever lived, and health crisis. I think, what we have all experienced in LATAM has been very dramatic. We all have had horrible situations close to us. Nevertheless, as every negative, we also have a positive. We anticipate the pandemic acts as a catalyst moving the world into a very inclusive conversation of collective impact to establish the energy transition needed for the future and for our people. So, from BP, what we've done is we have taken these very seriously from a very personal and health perspective. And what we've done is we've engaged all our businesses to be able to assess and help not only, the people, but the countries where we're at, and try to learn as we move along.
Now, when we look at, the impact of the pandemic, and it's going to have an impact right across the world and on all societies, do you think that perhaps we might see a new and maybe a different social impact when it comes to the energy transition? What difference will this pandemic have made, do you think?
Well, definitely, I think, these will change the way we assess the world, the way we assess problems. So I think, we will be seeing many changes from behaviors in people, and we will also be seeing changes in the way businesses are done in Latin America. We will be in a better world, but of course, very, very much engaged with people and with the environment and with social impact.
Now, of course, for yourself and indeed for everybody at BP, it's going to be such an exciting time to be there. I mean, when we listen to the CEO's, address just a few months ago, really, and setting out the foundation of how different a company is going to be, very, very exciting, very dynamic times for the company. But of course, BP looking at net zero in 2050. But then I look at a country, like Mexico, and we look at many places in Latin America, and we see that energy demand is on the rise there. And in many parts of the world, perhaps, hydrocarbon is maybe the cheapest and the best way to get that energy to the people. Is there not a little bit of a conflict there? And how can you manage it?
Of course. I don't think at all, because as we've stated in our strategy, we will remain in the hydrocarbon business. We're shifting from being an independent oil company, and actually an international oil company. We're shifting into an integrated energy company. So I think what we're trying to say here is we will remain in the oil and gas business, always, because we truly believe, there in the energy transition, those resources need to remain. But apart from that, we've decided to invest in net zero energy, which is renewable, and they can definitely coexist together. So I think, it is very aggressive because we've definitely defined that we will reduce our CapEx in a very significant way in exploration activities, but nevertheless, we will remain there. And together with that, we are embracing the net zero initiative through renewable energy. And I think it is a very solid strategy that allows us to actually insert ourselves in this new market and into these new cities and be close to the customer, but not do it in an aggressive way. Do it in a very swift way and adapting to the new trends in the world.
Now, of course, when we look at sort of trends in the world too, we see the growth of the mega city. And having been in Mexico City, it's a highly populated city, and indeed many cities in Latin America, not just in Mexico, where you're only based in Mexico, but you cover the entire region, so you get to visit all of these cities. Huge energy demand from people. I mean, this is something that people will actually want all the time. And of course, there are some great projects already in Latin America when it comes to renewable energy projects. So I can imagine you're already looking at these, embracing what you can do. But you look at, I think, again, I come back to that demand growth and the size of the entire continent. A lot of people also, with hopefully after this pandemic is over, with a little bit more disposable income and people who can demand energy and can pay for energy. So do you think that there will be enough energy to go around to make sure that we meet the demands of that growing population?
Of course, I definitely believe so. I think, energy, we have amazing resources all over LATAM. I think we have, great, for example, wind power in Brazil and even in Argentina and Mexico, together with the reserves that you can find there. So definitely it is, energy will be there. But I think it's not only about production, which BP has been very good at. It is about consumption, and it's about behavior patterns in the way we not only produce energy in an environmentally friendly way, but that we actually change our behaviors towards a more sustainable world. So, and we've seen this through the triangle model, and we also continue expressing this through, our different reviews, like the BP Energy Outlook or the statistical review that we just launched. So I definitely believe the energy will be there, but we have to think more towards how can we make not only our company sustainable, how can we make the world sustainable? And that is, the way BP is seeing this in the near future. And personally, me as a leader in the energy sector, I truly believe that the COVID-19 crisis has only enforced this new way of thinking, because we need to care about our people, we need to care about our environment, and we need to adapt all our businesses to this. So definitely there's enough energy. But the thing is, how do we use it more wisely, also together with producing it in a better way?
And indeed, I think it comes back, as you're mentioning there, behavior patterns, looking at the consumer and actually working with the consumer as well. Sometimes I think, if we look back, way back, it was the producers and the consumers were a very divided group in many, many ways. And even the language that was put in place there, it was all about producers and consumers almost at one side. But of course, at the World Energy Council too, when we look at, the theme that's being embraced, energy for humanity. So just what you're talking about there really is talking about working more with the people and making sure that as an energy company, you become part of the community, I suppose. I mean, how important is that for a company like BP?
It's critical. I think, really it is about, how we think of the world as a unity. I think collaboration becomes really key. It's not only about the company, it's about companies connecting with countries, connecting with consumers, with organizations such as WEC. And then together understanding the concepts of sustainability and the way, energy impacts not only the energy community, but the people And I think our secretary has mentioned it. It's not only about us who are in this industry, it's about touching the other people who are not part of this industry but are affected by it. And from that point of view, sustainability embraces the whole world. And many people say energy is probably, the industry to be at the moment. But I think more than that, energy touches everything. So in that sense, this corporate social responsibility goes beyond what we actually do. And I go again to that word, collaboration, sustainability, and I think a firm commitment of everybody to develop clean energy for the generations to come.
Now, of course, you are in a dual role, indeed many roles. You wear many hats in the region, of course, and taking on board to what's going on at the World Energy Council and really broadening that conversation, the people that you meet, your customer, the communities, all of the people that you impact. Who would you like to see been brought into that conversation? Because I love the way, as you say, energy is so vitally important for everybody. But who do you want to see been brought into that conversation?
That is a great question. And I think, what I would like is that, every human being brought into this conversation. I would like to have anybody, any citizen, no matter from, where he comes or she comes from, or how he has been raised or how she has been raised. I would like to bring everybody into that conversation because we are all affected by energy. We're affected by energy in our houses. We're affected by energy in what we eat. We're affected by energy, when power goes out. We are all affected, and then we realize the importance of power. So I think if you'd ask me, it is the end consumer. It's my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, my daughter, who need to understand the relevance of energy. And I think, as I said before, it's about, a radical change in behaviors to really achieve this net zero initiative by 2050. So coming back to your questions, if we touch families, if we touch the end consumer, then we're trying to really socialize energy and make it accessible to everybody. That would be my answer.
And indeed, when you talk about making it accessible to everybody, we look around the world and we're hearing a very powerful voice coming, particularly from the youth. And I think we've seen this in terms of the frustration of the youth, the dissatisfaction, and a lot of that sometimes geared towards the big oil and gas players as well. But again, it's all about education really, and it's about bringing people into the conversation. Is there more room perhaps in the educational system, be it at even a junior level, to actually engage more people and children, teenagers, young adults, to really get them to become almost ambassadors and to understand what needs to happen in the energy transition? Because I think sometimes people think the energy transition is going to happen tomorrow by magic. They're going to flick a switch and it's going to be different than what it was last week. It is going to take a bit of a while, and that's in many ways I think why it's been called the energy transition. It's not going to happen overnight. Do we need to engage more of the youth in this conversation?
Absolutely. I think, Greta has been an amazing example of, how important and how relevant this is. I think we've reached a point, it's a point of really of no return. So this is about integration, partnerships, innovations. And again, I go back to the word you used, education. I think, we have to start using even simple words around what we do, because, the energy transition is about changing not only the way we produce energy into renewable sources like wind power, solar, and what, we're actually defining in our strategy. But again, it's about, changing our behaviors and doing simple things like taking care of power in our houses. So to do that, you need to be very clear to everybody. The student in Kinder 3, primary school, a sixth grader, he or she needs to be able to understand exactly where we are and what we need to achieve and what they can do specifically in this equation. So to me, that is a lot about education and a lot about the leaders and the sophisticated people, academics, who are in the energy industry be able to communicate and build those bridges towards society. And again, Secretary has mentioned this several times. It's not only about our society and this energy sector, but it's everybody that we touch. So I think you really, that point of educating our young leaders is critical. And I think doing this by the work talks that you are having is a very good way, because I think we can talk about the way we really see it, not only in our corporate positions, but as human beings. As Angélica Ruiz, I am a mother, so I also see energy from that role.
And it's so important indeed, as you said. Our Secretary General, Angela, looks at that holistic view of the energy market, and indeed not the energy market just, but the entire energy spectrum that impacts everybody's life. Now, many years ago, this would have been also an industry, a very male-dominated industry. And I think we're really beginning to see shifts in the industry where it's becoming a much more diverse industry. And also, and a great example that you are too in your role, it's becoming more diverse in the leadership. And we even see it in the new leadership with BP. So well done for, a company leading the way too. And I think many times when you lead by example, your peers begin to pay a lot more attention to. But how important is that? And is this, would you say, an exciting industry for more diversity in the future, I would hope?
Absolutely. I think, energy is one of those topics that, as we say, touches everybody. In the case of BP, together, with the strategy that we've spoken about just now in my previous answers, has a full commitment to diversity in a much wider way. So in my experience, being a woman leader has added into the diversity part. I truly believe that collaboration is much better with diversity. And that is not only the gender thing, it's about having everybody be treated as a person. And that is one thing we love because we understand the value in it, and BP truly believes in it. And I do myself.
And then it's so exciting for particularly people looking to come into this industry to actually know and understand, I think, the possibilities that will be there. We're in this together, and I think we all have to work together for a cleaner, greener, and indeed a happier future for everybody. I want to thank you so much, Angélica Ruiz. It's been an absolute delight to have you here. We know you're busy. You have a big continent to look after there, and I know there are troubled times probably still ahead till the end of the year right around the world. So challenges for everybody, but we wish you the best, and for you and your team in Latin America. Good luck with everything, and good luck with the job too as well. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
To all of our viewers out there, thank you, Angélica. I want to say a fond farewell from us here, from me, Etna Trainer, from the entire team here at We Talks and the World Energy Council. We will continue to bring you interesting discussion where we really take a deep look at the energy transition, energy for humanity, and what it really means to us as we look around the world and we understand the value of energy. So we have many, many exciting talks lined up for you. So we want to make sure that you stay with us, stay engaged, and stay inspired with the World Energy Council. So that's it for me, Etna Trainer, and all of us at We Talks. Keep an eye on the website. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on. Thanks so much.